Pop quiz. How do you pick a student laptop without making it feel like homework? You use a cheat sheet. From size and specs to price, here are 5 easy shopping tips. The first thing you want to do when picking a student laptop is making sure that you get the right size. Now, just because 15-inch laptops are the most popular and cheapest doesn't mean it's the right pick for your student, because a lot of these weigh above 5 pounds and they're a little bit on the thick side. For high school students, definitely yes, because they're not really going to be moving it more from room to room. But the sweet spot for students, we think, is 13 to 14 inches because you get a pretty big screen and something that's nice and light and thin. We're talking in the 4-pound range or even less. As you go down the size ladder, 11-inch laptops are nice if you want to take notes in class, but they're a little bit too small when you want to use them back at the dorm. And on the high-end side, you're going to see 17-inch laptops, which are almost too big to cart around. So if you're looking for the perfect size, go for 13 or 14-inch. The most complicated aspect of picking the right student laptop is figuring out what specs you need. So let's start with the CPU or processor. So if you're in the market for a student laptop, a Core i3 2nd gen processor will be fine, and you can get one for about $500. So that's pretty much all you need for multitasking and for playing high definition video. If you go for a 3rd generation Core processor, you'll be able to do things like play mainstream games like World of Warcraft. So what about memory or RAM? 4 gigs is fine, but if you can get 6 gigs for about the same cost, around that $500 mark, make sure you get it, because it'll give you a little bit of breathing room over the life of that 4-year system. Okay, so now let's turn our attention to the hard drive. 320 gigs is good, but 500 is better. And even better than that, if you're willing to spend more money, is a solid state drive, because it gives you the ultimate in terms of responsiveness. In between, you'll find some hard drives that have an SSD cache, which allow you to boot faster, as well as wake from sleep faster. Now let's turn our attention to some specs that are nice to have, but not necessarily things that you need for your student. One of those things is discrete graphics, because Intel's integrated graphics are good enough to play mainstream games, but if you want to move up to the latest titles, you want to spring for something with NVIDIA GPU, like this Acer that we have here, and that'll let you play all the latest 3D titles, as well as edit video a lot faster. One other spec that's nice to have, but not really necessary for students, is a built-in DVD drive. Because these days they're downloading all of their videos over the web or just streaming them, and the same thing goes with software. So unless they really need and have like a huge Netflix collection, chances are they can pretty much leave the spec alone. The third tip is battery life. Because it's not always easy for students to plug in when they're around campus, make sure you get them a system that lasts at least 5 hours on a charge. Notebooks like the MacBook Air in our test lasted about 8 hours, and that's continuous web surfing over Wi-Fi, so you know we're hitting them pretty hard. Make sure you go to our website to check out all of our reviews to see which laptops go the distance. But you don't necessarily need to spend north of $1,000 to get long endurance. We've reviewed a lot of laptops, even in the $600 range, like the HP NV6, that lasts 6.5 hours on a charge, and that's just $599. Okay, so here's tip number 4. Make sure that you're picking your student a really good keyboard. Even if they're going to wind up buying that laptop online, make sure that you go to the store and check out the comfort of that layout, because the last thing that you want is a keyboard that's cramped and the keys are smaller than they should be. So not all laptops are created equal, not only in terms of size, but also comfort. Make sure that the keys offer plenty of travel so that you're going to get enough tactile feedback when you're typing, whether that's long reports or even short Facebook updates. The keyboard is king. The other thing you want to pay close attention to when it comes to laptops for students is that touchpad. One of the big trends right now is integrating the buttons into the touchpad itself, similar to what Apple is doing with its MacBook Air. And so if you're going to be looking at these types of designs, make sure that you're looking for enough size. There has to be plenty of room to navigate the desktop. The surface should be nice and smooth, and gestures like pinch to zoom and rotate should work all the time, not just some of the time. So for example, if you want to zoom in like this, it should be nice and silky. There's the rotate right there. And if you're on the websites, make sure that the 2-finger scrolling up and down is always responsive. Our last tip focuses on price. I think a lot of parents would be pleasantly surprised about what they can get for the $500 mark or even less. This Sony E11, for example, comes with a dual-core AMD processor, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 500 gig hard drive for about the $450 mark. So that's really good for something that's so portable and pretty powerful for the size. And in the same $500 ballpark, you can get a 15-inch notebook with a 3rd gen or 2nd gen Core i3 processor, 6 gigs of RAM, and a 500 gig hard drive. So that's really good specs for the money. As you step up the price ladder, let's say to the $700 to $800 range, you're going to find more premium designs, so aluminum on the deck as well as on the top, and also more premium specs on the inside. This particular Acer Timeline M5 comes with a Core i5 processor, so faster than the Core i3, NVIDIA graphics, and an SSD on the inside that complements the 500 gig hard drive that allows you to wake from sleep faster as well as boot faster. As you get above the $1,000 threshold, you'll find premium Ultrabooks as well as the Apple MacBook Air and all of their MacBook systems. And also, if your student is a gamer, you can find something like the Samsung Series 7 Gamer for the $1,500 range or so. And what you're going to be getting for your price is a lot of horsepower and also really cool features like a backlit keyboard. And inside a beast like this, you're going to find a quad-core Core i7 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and dual 750 gig hard drives. So they're not going to be wanting for power even after those 4 years are up. So there you have it. Those are our top 5 picks for picking the perfect student notebook. Make sure you go to laptopmag.com to check out all of our latest reviews and find the right laptop for the right price.